but you should be pushing as much as possible for our muscles to grow. Because if you don't, then your muscles aren't going to grow the way that we want it to when we're in the gym. So add that intensity and come with that intensity. Now, in today's video, I'm going to explain how you cannot be skinny fat anymore. And you can get rid of that painful ache that you have about taking off your shirt. And so you can be more defined and toned and more sexy looking. Now, the thing about skinny fat, I'm going to define it, what it is. Now, what's fat? Fat is when you have a high level of body fat on your body. So a person that's fat has a lot of fat stored in their body, which is stored excess energy. And it's when you give your body more calories than it needs, the calories that doesn't burn off get turned into fat. So over the time of overeating, and giving your body more calories than it needs, that fat builds up. And that's why a person gets perceived as fat. Now, what's skinny? What considers somebody skinny when you look at them? And it's because they have low muscle mass. When you have low muscle mass now, and then you have high fat, your body, you're going to look slim. Like when a person puts on a t-shirt, they're going to look slim. But when you take off your t-shirt, and that lack of muscle is going to, and that lack of muscle with the high percentage in body fat is going to make a person look slim, but the person is going to be soft, and otherwise is skinny fat. So with high levels of body fat in your body, but with low muscle mass, that's a person that is perceived as skinny fat. Person is going to be slim, but the person is not going to be toned, and the person is going to have a soft, puffy look. Now, what levels or body fat levels is considered high in fat? So for men, it's about 15% body fat and higher, and women is about 25% body fat and higher. And when you have this amount of level of body fat on your body, you consider it as not overweight. Well, overweight, yes, in terms of high levels of body fat. So what we want to do is we want to lower our body fat, but we want to build muscle. So what does this do? As you lower your body fat and then you build muscle, now you're switching your body composition, and you're going to be perceived, well, not perceived, but you're going to have more muscle in your body, which is you're going to be more defined. You're going to look more defined and toned. And then by having less body fat on your body, that muscle that you build is going to be able to show. So that's what we want to do, and that's what skinny fat is. And now here's a picture of me. On the left, I'm skinny fat. I have low levels of muscle, and then I have high percentage in body fat, like about 25% body fat. And then on the right side, I have low levels of body fat, and then I have high levels of muscle mass. So you can see by me lowering my body fat and having a high level of muscle mass, I have a more leaner, toner, sexier appearance, and that's what we want to aim to do. So if you're in this predicament to where your body fat is high and then you have low muscle, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be new to training. That's why you have no muscle and then you have a high level of body fat. You haven't been training. So before you lift any weight to start building muscle, the first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you have proper form. You want to make sure you have proper form, because this is going to give us a great foundation to build on top of once we start adding weight on top of the weight that you start with. So if you start with 10 pounds in a month, we want to be able to be at 20 pounds. But when we're at 20 pounds, we want to make sure that we are adding and we have perfect form that we're building on top of. Because when we don't have perfect form, we can get injured, because that means we're placing the tension in a different place than we intend to. So if I am doing a sit-up and I'm doing this sit-up wrong, now I'm taking the tension off of my abs and I'm putting it on my lower back. And over time, if I'm adding plates and weights, I can damage my lower back because the tension is misplaced. So that's why we want to have perfect form, so we don't end up injuring ourselves. And also, we want to make sure that we have perfect form because we actually want to build the muscle that we are intending to build when we do that specific exercise. So if I'm doing a squat, I want to make sure that I'm doing the squat in the perfect way, making sure that I'm doing the squat in the perfect way so I can actually target the muscle that I want to target for it to grow. That's why perfect form is essential important. So before you do any of the workouts, you want to practice perfect form. And you want to practice to have perfect form with lighter weight, because if you can't feel it with lighter weight, you're not going to feel it with heavier weight. The next thing that you want to do is you want to strength train. Now, the first point before I get into any reps or sets, we want to make sure that we are doing the maximum amount of intensity as possible, because our muscles need a reason to grow. They need a reason to grow. And if we are in the gym working out like pussies, then our muscles aren't going to tear down as maximum potential that it can off of us pushing hard in the gym to rebuild bigger and grow bigger. Our sets, but the last rep should be looking like this. Like if I'm doing shoulder like this, shoulder raises, the last set should be me like, it should be like that. As much as you can, because you probably don't got a spotter, but you should be pushing as much as possible for our muscles to grow. Because if you don't, then your muscles aren't going to grow the way that we wanted to when we're in the gym. So add that intensity and come with that intensity. Now, after you got the intensity, now we can put that intensity with the reps and sets so we can have a mixture of greatness. Now, so how many reps and sets to do? The first thing is we want to do 10 to 15 reps. Why do we want to stick around this range of 10 to 15 reps? That's a great question. And it's because the set is long enough for us to experience a lot of time under tension. And time under tension is good because the longer that we're doing the set, the more that the more that our muscles are breaking down and tearing. And then the more that they tear and we experience that tension over time, the bigger back they grow. So the set is long enough for us to experience time under tension, and the weight is heavy enough for us to stimulate our muscles the best to grow. Because if we do a set of 20-25, it's going to be harder to go to failure. So if I'm doing T raises and I can go all the way up into 30-35, now that's not enough tension for my muscles to build, because the weight is easy. So the heavier the weight, the more tension that we have, and then the longer to do the set with that, the longer to do the set with that, the more our muscles are breaking down to grow, like I said. So 10 to 15 is the perfect range for us to have the best of both worlds. And then also it decreases injury, because the heavier the weight, the more likely or the higher chance of injury. So 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 15 reps is perfectly fine. It's general, but it's the best general advice. And then you stimulate each muscle twice a week and you're fine. What exercises to do, just pick one exercise from each body part that you like and just do that. You don't need to do 40 million bicep curls, different ways to do it, or 40 million T raises this way, do this. Oh, that's bullshit. Just pick one workout, 1 to 2 workouts per muscle that you want to work out, and just do it like that. That is simple. Now, the next thing is probably like the most important thing, and I see is what people struggle with the most. So after we work out and we break our muscles tissue down, and our muscles is thirsting. It's thirsting for protein. We need to give our body protein so it can rebuild. Like I said in the protein video, we need 0.4 4 grams per body weight for us to live. But we want to give our body more protein for when we have the high intensity, we do the 10 to 15 reps, and then we do 3 or 4 sets, stimulate the muscle twice a week, and we need our muscles to build back from that. We need protein for us and our muscles to be built back off of that. So we have to get protein in. A lot of people struggle or don't want to track their protein. I don't want to weigh it, or it's too much and it's just too much food. Listen, protein is the backbone to this shit. It's the backbone to this shit. So you have to prioritize protein. How much protein? 1 gram per body weight, your body weight, period. So I'm 188, so I'm gonna do 188 grams of protein. It's that simple. So my suggestion is go to the supermarket, buy all of the protein that you like, get you a food scale so you can weigh the protein, and then download one of the calorie tracking apps, and then weigh out your protein meal by meal, or as best you can, or as much as possible, and then track your protein over the course of the day. You don't have to be completely like exactly on the nail when it comes to your protein intake, but you have to be pretty consistent and to get within at least 10 to 20 grams of your intake, because we're giving our bodies more protein than it needs in general, so it's going to build muscle. So do those things and you're going to have the best chance at building the much muscle as possible. Now, I explained how we build muscle, so I'm going to explain how to lose the fat off our body. So we want to be in a calorie deficit. I know, surprise. We want to be in a calorie deficit. So what does that mean? That means that we want to give our body less calories than it needs to function. So when it runs out of those calories, aka when it runs out of energy, it's getting the energy from the fat on our body, meaning that the fat on our body gets burnt for energy. And the fact that it's getting burnt off, that we're losing that fat. Meaning that if my body needs 2,000 calories to be at maintenance, I'm going to give my body 1,500 calories. So the extra 500 calories that it needs is going to burn it off from the fat of my body, losing fat. So we need to be and create that calorie deficit for us to lose that weight. How do we do that? How do we know the number? I have a video on this channel describing in detail of how to find that number. You do like some simple math equation and then you come up with a number. And the most important thing to realize is this is an estimate. Nobody knows how many calories to eat that we're going to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. Nobody knows, but this is a pretty good estimate. But to go over it quickly, after you get that number, you want to eat those specific calories for about like 3 weeks. The first week you're going to lose water because that's how it is. The body, when you give your body less calories and you're in a calorie deficit, the first week you're going to lose all that water weight. So I would say about 3 weeks. And you want to make sure that the scale is going down in those 2 weeks after the first week that you lose that water weight. So if the scale is not going down, then you need to eat less or burn more calories. If the scale is going down, then you're doing a good job. And how much should it be going down? You should be losing a pound of a week. And the reason why you want to lose a pound a week is because we are trying to maintain the maximum amount of muscle as possible. So as we're building the muscle, which I explained early on in this video, as we're losing weight as well, we want to make sure that we maintain that muscle as much as possible, because muscle is still weight. So we're going to be losing muscle. But the faster we lose weight, the faster we'll lose muscle on top of that. So we want to make sure that this is a slow process of losing 1 pound a week. And a pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So we want to be in a 500 calorie deficit. So if we lose a pound in a week, that means that we're in a 500 calorie deficit. So the way you're eating and the calorie count that you've been tracking, you're on track, and you continue to keep on doing that and putting yourself in a 500 calorie deficit. So each day from Monday to Sunday, you should be burning 500 calories, which equates to 3,500 calories lost, which is a pound. So that's how you know that you're going to be on track with that. If you're losing anything faster than that, then you should eat more so you can be roughly around 3,500 calories or a pound a week. If you lose a pound and a half, that's still good. 2 pounds, that's okay, good, but that's a little bit too fast. How much protein should we eat in the form of calories from our overall calorie count? 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. So if I tell somebody that's 200 pounds to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, he's going to eat 200 grams. And the fact that 1 gram of protein is 4 calories, we're going to times that 200 grams by 4, meaning that it's going to be 800 calories. So from the overall calorie count, off rip, you're going to minus 800 calories, he will, and then the rest of the calorie count, he's going to get it elsewhere from carbs and fat, however he likes to do it. If they like a high fat, low carb diet, cool. If they like a high carb, low fat diet, that works as well. But the goal is to make sure that we get the amount of calories that our protein is going to occupy, and then subtract that from our overall calorie count that we estimated that we're going to be in a calorie deficit in with. And then the rest of the calories that come about when we subtract the amount of calories that protein are going to occupy. Get it how you get it. Because after you eat those rest of the calories, however you get it, you're still going to be in a calorie deficit. So you're going to lose weight. So in conclusion, skinny fat is when you have high levels of body fat and then low levels of muscle mass, which gives you this appearance of being slim but not defined and kind of soft, and then that equates to a person looking skinny fat. And what we want to do is we want to flip that body composition. We want to lower our body fat, but then we want to raise our muscle mass so we can flip that composition and give us a more leaner, toner, sexier appearance. And how you want to do this is you want to make sure first that you're training with proper form. And after that, make sure that you're training with intensity, and then do 3 to 4 sets between 10 to 15 reps. And then make sure you're in a calorie deficit, and then you are losing 500 calories every day, either burning or dieting down. And then that equates to 3,500 calories, and then you'll lose a pound a week. And then take it slow. If you're losing more than that, it's not the end of the world. But just understand that we're building muscle, and muscle is weight as well. So the faster that we're losing weight, that we're going to take a lot of that muscle with us, and we don't want to do that. Take progress pictures regularly, week by week, and then weigh yourself every day just to make sure that the scale is going down. And then when you weigh yourself over the course of 7 days, your weight will fluctuate. You'll be higher some days because you'll be bloated, and then you'll be lower some days because you'll be drier. So the middle number is what your weight is. So the medium number of every day that you weigh yourself is how much that you actually weigh. And just make sure the weight is going down week by week. Strength train as much as you can due to your schedule, but try to stimulate your muscles, each muscle group, twice a week. So do 2 upper body days, 2 lower body days, or if you want to do 2 full body days because you're short on time, that works well. And then to speed up the fat loss process, what you can do is you can add in some cardio days, which is king. If you want to speed up that process, add in some cardio days. And that's about it. I hope this video was extremely helpful. And you can click, and I'll put a link on somewhere in this video to where you can watch how HIIT cardio is the worst form of cardio that a person can do, in my opinion. And to do what I say in that video instead, that's going to speed up the fat loss progress. And then I do personalized coaching, so you can email me down in the description so we can get started on your weight loss journey. Again, I hope this video was helpful. I was as in depth as I could be, and I will catch you in the